welcome everyone. GC 365. Pastor James here from the Lake Stevens campus. I have my special guest, Paul Adams, also from our campus. He is one of our core families, one of the instrumental people that came with us. And I asked him to be a part of this because, one, I just like talking to him. And two, the material that we're talking about today really, I think, has a blend of how we would both react a little differently to the situation. You're a little more emotional than I am, and so I think this is just going to be an interesting little yin-yang kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You're the yin, I'm the yang, so it'll be good to see where we go with this. But if you've been following along, we're in Numbers. I love Numbers. Numbers is all about battles and turmoil, and it's like a Hollywood movie. You know what I'm saying?
It is, and right down to like family betrayal, like
exactly.
A little, I don't know, what do you call the soap operas on Mexican TV?
Novelas.
Yeah, it's like a novella.
Why do I know that? I don't know. I don't watch them.
That's why we hang out with James. He's like playing, like chatting with a trivia game. You know every answer.
That's true. I don't know why I know these worthless things, but I know them, so they're in there somewhere. And so we use that. But we're talking about him. He was a great warrior, right? And you've read the story as well. Crazy background, right? Crazy background.
Mom's a prostitute. Got thrown out by his brothers that said, your mom's a prostitute. And
exactly.
I guess, and mine's not, so you're out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then they call on him years later.
Yes.
To say, we need you to defend us.
Why did they call on him, though?
They said because they needed him.
Yes. Do you know why they need him? He was a merc at this point. He's a mercenary. So he's going around, and he has this band of warriors, and he's kind of like 300. Like, he's like Leonidas. He's just, I'm so good. And he's going around just hammering people, winning every battle. And the people of Israel are specifically, the smaller towns. They were like, we need you. We need you to help us, because the Ammonites were attacking them. So now he has this dilemma, right? So he's like, you guys rejected me, and now you're asking me to save you. Now, I don't know about you, Paul, but I don't know that I would have done it.
No, I mean, like, I'm safe in my town. I've got my family.
Yeah.
You guys want a bunch of trouble. I'm going to need a pretty good carrot.
Exactly. And you rejected us, right? You rejected me. I'm not good enough, and now I'm good enough to save you, which to me, that's my drawing point. Maybe it's because I tend to hold grudges, but I'm with Jephthah, but they give him a pretty good carrot.
Yeah.
Remember what the carrot was?
You can rule it all. We will give you the ring to rule them all.
Basically.
You can run our entire society.
Yes.
If you will win these battles for us.
Yes. Essentially, he becomes their king without being the official title of king, which that's a pretty good carrot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? It's not like, hey, we'll give you $100. It's like, we will give you everything, which is nuts. So he does agree, right? Mm-hmm. He agrees. He goes to battle. He's fighting hard, and he makes a deal with God. Do you remember that deal?
So brutal. This is where I am a resident caveman in most circumstances, but I'll probably cry today. So, yeah, he says, if you give me winning battles, one after the other, you let me succeed in this, I will sacrifice as a burnt offering the first thing that comes out of my house to greet me.
Which doesn't seem like a terrible idea, because you remember back in the day, their currency was what? Cattle, right?
Cattle, yeah.
Cattle or sheep or goats or...
My dog will come out to see me first, certainly.
Exactly. And you're kind of like, oh, I love my dog, but all right, cool. Or llamas or whatever it is. And so they had all of these animals. So for him to say that, it's not unnatural for him to say, well, if a sheep comes out or if a donkey or a goat or a chicken, cool, you're dead.
Yeah.
But that's not what happens, right? That's not what happens. So he wins this battle. He goes home. He's coming in triumphant. There's a parade essentially for all these, these warriors that have conquered. And he's happy, he's excited, God has come through, and then who comes to greet him?
His daughter comes running out with a tambourine, celebrating his successes in the battlefield and sealing her fate simultaneously.
That's where it's just like, oh no, Jephthah. Oh, and you have 2 daughters, right? How old are your daughters?
Let's see, 8 and 9.
8 and 9. Yes, today.
Today. Well, they change through the year.
It's not their birthday today.
They change not at the same time every year. If I'd really planned well, we'd had them all on the same birthday.
Yeah, you messed that one up. I don't know what you were thinking, but so your daughters are 8 and 9. My daughter is 6, so they're all little, and she's a little bit older. She's closer to like 10, 11, 12 years old, and so. But back then, that's closer to woman. Anyhow, she comes out. She's excited. She wants to celebrate with Dad, right? Like, Dad, look what you did. Oh, I'm so excited for you. I want to celebrate with you. And can you imagine being Jephthah, you're sitting on your horse, you ride in, and your daughter comes out, and you just realize, oh no,
Yeah.
what did I do?
Well, and just sitting with that in the minutes it would take to cover the distance between wherever he would see her and getting up to her would be the worst.
Yeah. I mean, let's just imagine that, Paul. Let's imagine you made this deal with God. And
He's
you said,
trying to make me cry.
I'm not trying to make you cry, but you're in this situation and you say, God, if you do this amazing thing, and I'm going to give you all glory. And not only that, I'm going to give you the first fruits, and whatever that first fruits comes out of my house, here it is. And you do this, you conquer, and you come
Thinking
home.
it's going to be the Yorkie that comes out first.
Yorkie or someone else's animal.
A
Maybe it's your
llama.
neighbor's dog, right? Your neighbor's dog comes out first. You're like,
Even
oh, cool.
better.
But it's not your neighbor's dog. You know, it's Reagan. Reagan comes out,
Yeah.
you know, your oldest daughter, and she comes out and she's like, Daddy, I'm so proud of you. You know, she comes out with this tambourine. I'm so proud of you, Dad, because you did what you said you were going to do, and God was with you. And then you going, huh, dang it.
Yeah. We're going to have to talk about why God was with me. and the part that hits me is what happened right after.
Yes.
One, that he was willing to hold his promise to God, which in and of itself is amazing. But what his daughter said,
Oh, yeah.
that she was like, I understand. And in thinking about this story as it relates to our kids, I pray for having children that are willing to help me, although I don't plan on making a promise nearly as dark as this one ever.
Yeah.
But imagine having a promise like that, whether it was money that you were going to give away or something else, and having your children say, I understand the promise you made, and how they just give me 2 months with my friends before I'm the burnt offering.
That's what got me too, as well, was her faith as well too, that she didn't say, Dad, no, this is stupid, I'm running away, or anything like it. Just, she says, no, I get it.
Yeah.
I understand what you did. I understand the sacrifice you made. And you're right. It's not that extreme for us today, right? Like if we did that, we're going to jail.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that just doesn't happen now. But in a spiritual sense, we do similar things to that in that way now, because at some point you and I have to let go of our daughters. At some point we have to do it. I don't want to do it.
Nope.
It's going to suck. But at some point, we are going to have to say to God, these are your kids, if we haven't done it already, right? If we haven't, and part of us probably have. I've done parts of it, but there's still lots of parts that I want to hold on to. She's still my little girl. She still hops into my lap and snuggles, you know, that whole thing. But at some point, I'm going to have to completely release control and say, she is yours, God. Your faith, I mean, my girl's faith is going to be her faith. It's not going to be mine anymore. And I feel like that's going to be just as bad.
Oh, yeah. Well, and just it's almost a constant thing. You know, you have a health challenge with one of your kids, and it's like, okay, God, this is your child, and all of that. Or, you know, then when they get a little bit older and their behavior is off, and it's like, I'm doing all that I can, and beyond this, it's in your hands, God. But then to just fully release, I can't do anything anymore. You know, like, I was even thinking this morning, like, how tough it will be to know, only because it's somewhat statistically probable they're going to have problems in their future marriages.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can do is stand by and try to offer advice if she's seeking it from me.
Yes. And you don't want your kids to ever suffer, and no one wants that. We want to do what we can to help our kids as much as possible. And that's the struggle, I think, too, is here he knew what he had to do. One day, and even today, we know what we have to do. There's times where we want to shower our kids with certain things, and we realize it's not going to be healthy for them if we do this. And so today, even right now, spiritually, you guys, if you have kids especially, you're going to have your Jephthah moment where you release control to God, where you release whatever it is that you want for them, realizing that they need to find their own connection and their own path to God, whatever that path may lead. And maybe sometimes that path you're proud of, and maybe sometimes you're like, ooh, that's not how I would have done it. But it doesn't matter, because ultimately it becomes their path. And I think that's going to be the hardest part, and giving up that control. Because if you look at the New Testament reading, we're going to wrap up with this. It's John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. And we're talking about Jesus. And what did God do for us? He loved us so much that he had his Jephthah moment where he says, I am giving you Jesus. You don't deserve it, but I'm giving you him anyways because I know that mankind needs him. And I know that you need a relationship with him. And I just look at that and I go, there's our model of release, right? There's God saying, I cannot believe that I'm going to send Jesus to be tortured. And we're going to celebrate that torture here in a few weeks, right? For Easter, to be tortured so that you can live. I don't know that I could do that with my kids.
No, I'm sure I couldn't. And just, I mean, I think when we think about handing over your only son and what God did for us would be like, I don't think I would be willing. I mean, it would be hard to say, even if somebody told me it would save somebody else's life, to just hit one of my kids' hands with a hammer once, let alone.
Yeah. You have one son. So this is like, this is right there. I have 3. So I'd be like, I got 2 more. So, I'll get rid of one. It's not a big deal. But you only have one son, right? And so when I only had one daughter, so we're flipped on our roles here. But that's true. I mean, there's that whole, like, would you even put your kid in harm's way in that aspect? I mean, just can you imagine your son going, Dad, what are you doing? Dad, what are you doing? Why are you hitting my hand with a hammer? Because I'm going to save this person's life. Yeah. And would they understand that? And I don't know. And just the fact that God was willing to do that shows us how much he loves me. And whenever I have a need to know how much God loves me, I just go back to my kids. Like how I want so much for them and what I'm willing to do for them. And God went above and beyond that. He went above and beyond when I didn't even deserve it. Yeah. Because I wouldn't break my son's hand for, someone who's on death row. Yeah. Okay, you're on death row. And so, those are things that we want you to think about. We want you to think about the sacrifice. We want you to think about how much God loves you. We want you to think about what it is that he is trying to do in your life and what it is he's asking you to release. Because at the end of the day, God asks us to release something. Every one of us has to release something. Because in order to hold Jesus, he says it, in order to hold on to me, you got to let go of something else. So my encouragement to you and Paul's encouragement to you is let go of whatever that is keeping you from connecting with God. Till the next time, we will see you guys tomorrow.